Hello again, and welcome to session 29, taking up where we last left off with the colors of our world. Humans generally enjoy seeing color in their surroundings, and we're all affected by color. For example, red seems to stimulate us. As a result, many restaurants use red in the color scheme of their interior design, with the idea of stimulating our appetite. Other colors will have different effects on us to one degree or another. There are some who use color as a form of therapy to help bring about a positive influence on certain maladies that seem to respond positively to that kind of treatment. People in our society will often go out of their way to place flowers in and around their home as a way of enjoying the beauty of so many variations of nature's beautiful colors. We sometimes plant flowers outside our homes as a way of beautifying our yard or garden. Beautiful arrangements of flowers of all colors are often used as a way of honoring and showing respect for those who have passed on and for their family. We often find that we each have our favorite colors and often choose our favorite flowers based on the size, shape, and the beautiful colors that are available in the many different varieties. Many prize the delicate beauty of roses of one color or another, and there are many varieties and colors from which to choose. Others prefer the comparable delicate beauty of the orchid and its many varieties and colors. When we create our flower gardens, we often make it a point to choose many different varieties and colors for the flowers that we plant there. Many gardeners have found through years of creative planting that the most beautiful flower gardens are often those with the greatest diversity in the size and color of their flowers. For some rose enthusiasts and for some who prize orchids, both the black and the white roses and both the white and the black orchids seem to be among the most prized because of their great beauty and for the diversity that they bring to the garden as a whole. With only the white and black flowers, however, we tend to find a feeling of starkness until other shades and colors are added to complement the whole. When the gardener has a plan, all of the flowers and colors seem to come together to create a garden such that the result finds the whole greater than the sum of its parts. I am showing you that there is a plan. Over a period of many years, I've come to see our planet as being somewhat like a great and beautiful garden, created by God. In His garden, there's quite a great diversity of human beings. You might think of it as of us as the flowers in His garden. Excuse me. Every one of us is here for the contribution that we each make to the garden as a whole, while at the same time we each have made the decision to incarnate here in order to have the opportunity to learn the lessons that this environment can provide. The lessons that each person needs are known by that person's higher self, and we are each guided by our higher self for the purpose of helping us to learn those needed lessons. The lessons are unlikely to be exactly the same for any two persons. During our time here, however, there is no doubt in my mind, as indicated earlier, that in addition to coming here for our own purposes, we are also here as part of a larger plan, and that we all have our part to play in the creation of the, quote, garden, unquote, in accordance with that plan which is known only to the master gardener, God. We are of many different variations in size, shape, and color, and as a result we have divided ourselves into categories. One of those categories we call race, and along with other considerations, it's based quite often on the color of one's skin. Excuse me. There are also differences in religious beliefs. At first glance, such a distraction would seem to make those of us in each race, or such a distinction, would seem to make those of us in each race very different from those in other races, and those of one religion very different from those of other religions. But are we really? Within each major variation of color or race, there are so many striking similarities, and that is more true than most people realize about different religious beliefs also. This is so much the truth that it's very difficult to come to any conclusion other than the obvious one, that despite our differences, we are all God's children. It would seem that we all enjoy having a loving relationship with someone whom we consider to be special, especially when that other person reciprocates by returning that feeling to us. We all seem to value very highly the children that often result from such relationships. We all indicate that we want to have sufficient food to provide a healthy sustenance for our loved ones and a decent home in which to dwell, so that we and our loved ones are protected from the elements. For all those in such relationships with their chosen partner and their children, if any, we find almost universally that one or both adults seek some means of providing the necessities of life for themselves and their family. This is a way of saying that they all want employment or self-employment or some reasonable means to make it possible for them to provide these necessities in order to help to make a decent life for themselves and for their loved ones. In addition, we all place a high personal value on our close friends. Where religious beliefs are concerned, most thinking people have come, in the course of their lives, to the realization that a power greater than their own has a much greater connection to human beings than even those who profess to be very religious are aware. And those who have not yet come to that realization are very likely to do so as they grow older and hopefully wiser. All of these things point to the fact that despite our differences in color, race, or religious beliefs, etc., there are still countless ways in which we are nevertheless all very much the same, since we're all human beings and we are all the children of God living in His garden that we call the earth, a relatively small planet that is a very special part of God's universe. All of this having been said, why do we much too often feel distrust, or at times even hatred, of those whom we consider to be different from ourselves? This difference does not always concern itself with color or race or even religion. But for the purposes of this discussion, we'll focus primarily on those aspects of our differences because of the very great pain that has been brought about, directly or indirectly, to so many of us over such a long period of time as a result of the feelings that many of us still have about those particular differences. Let me state again, because of its importance, just as it is in our own gardens that we make for ourselves, where every flower has been carefully chosen and placed with loving hands to create the effect according to plan that we desire, can there be any doubt in your mind that it must be equally true that every flower, meaning each of us in God's garden, this planet, is also there for a purpose that fits His plan? In our garden, each flower has a significant contribution that it makes to the garden as a whole, and the diversity of size, shape, and color, etc., all play an important part to make our garden as a whole greater than the sum of its parts. It makes perfect sense that in God's garden also, every flower, each of us, is here for a purpose, and according to a plan that is known only to the master gardener. But each one, regardless of size, shape, color, or religious beliefs, makes a contribution, an important contribution to the garden as a whole, that only that particular flower, that person, can make. And all of the flowers come together as humankind to create a garden or a planet that, when complete, is far greater than the sum of its parts. At the same time, having a place in that garden allows each flower, each plant, each of us to grow and to develop as we seek to reach our full potential, our point of greatest contribution to the garden, the highest level of spirituality of which we're capable in this life, and thus to gain greater individual spiritual growth while still contributing significantly to the garden as a whole. There is a duality here that allows us to have the opportunity to use our time in the garden to learn the individual lessons that we came here to learn, but at the same time play an important part in the overall plan of God, the Master Gardener, to learn the lessons we need to learn as a people while we play our part, in His master plan. Excuse me. We hold ourselves back when we allow anger or hatred, especially when unjustified, to rule our lives. Trust me when I tell you that to have anger or hatred toward another person or persons because of their religious beliefs, or because of the color of their skin, or because one or both of your parents had such feelings, or even because of some isolated incident in your own life, is unjustified to the extreme. The negativity and the anger and hatred that one puts out into the cosmos at such times will always return sooner or later to its source, the person who sent it out. It's very likely that those who have and who nurture such feelings will spend one or more lifetimes living in a body with the skin color that they now hate, or following a religious belief that they now hate, or perhaps both, in order to put them on the receiving side of those feelings, to truly walk in the other person's shoes, all in order to help them learn that there's a better way to feel about and to interact with our fellow humankind. So many in our society love the look of the sleek automobile in almost any color imaginable. And it's common to see people with clothing or goods of many kinds, material things created in many beautiful colors. When it comes to association with others in God's family of children, however, meaning other humans whose skin is different in color from our own, or whose beliefs or whose lives are substantially different from our own, then all of a sudden mistrust and doubt or even anger and hatred can all too often enter the picture. Gives you something to think about, doesn't it? I want to thank you for watching. In session 30, we'll look at an example of such feelings that we've been talking about here. Thank you again for watching.